governmentcheese.com. And I'm very happy to bring out here star and executive producer of the show you just watched, Government Cheese, David Oyelowo.
Thanks for coming out on a Sunday, everyone.
So David, this was short in 2019 originally between you and Paul that you guys worked on together. First of all, what has been the development process like of bringing this then into television, and what was the initial reaction to the pitch, the idea of this show, this family, this character?
Yeah, so in 2019, Paul Hunter, who I didn't really know, found me through a friend and said he had this short film that he wanted me to take a look at. And he explained it to me. He talked about his childhood growing up in the San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles in the 60s and 70s. But as he started talking to me about his youth, it was through this sort of fantastical rose-tinted glasses of what it was like to grow up in the valley at that time. And the way he talked about it, especially his dad, who I am basically playing a version of in the show, was both, I could tell it was a hugely challenging part of his youth, but he also had this fondness and hero worship of his dad almost. So that was the sort of groundwork, and then he sent me the script. I went home, I opened it on my phone, and I'm sure there are actors here, you know, that thing where you do, let me just read the first few pages, see if this is anything worth considering. And I stood in the exact same spot I was stood from beginning to end, because I hadn't read anything quite like it in terms of a black family in the 60s, in that place at that time, with all of this fantastical, quirky, surreal, parabolic elements, and then this kind of spiritual journey that the character goes through as well. So there were so many things that I had been a fan of, but in other movies. Like I love Wes Anderson movie, for instance, and I thought, gosh, I don't think I've ever seen this quite like this before. So it was a short film. I thought, nothing to lose, let's go do this. So we shot it over 4 days in LA, early 2019. So he approached me late 2018, we shot it early 2019. And it was this sort of beautiful little 19-minute piece that got a nice bit of attention, and then we ended up going to Apple at a time where, conveniently for us, Apple were in the process of starting Apple TV Plus. They wanted original ideas. They weren't going to be relying on IP or a library or anything like that. They actually wanted things that moved the needle creatively. There were a few other places, I think, that would have gone for this show. Yeah. And so yeah, they began the journey with us, and then it, you know, between the pandemic and strikes and all that kind of stuff, it took us a while to get it going, but also it took a while to make sure that the tone that we established in the short film was retained in the show itself, and so it took a bit of time.
And no episode is quite like the one before it. I don't know if anyone here has seen beyond the first episode, but it goes in some very unexpected directions, to say the least. So for you, as someone that's a creative and shows so much about reinvention for the self, and then also for one's own surroundings, the way that they go through life. How is it being a creator, part of the creative process on a show that has to continually reinvent itself as well?
Well, one of the huge pleasures of doing this show for me, you know, I've produced a fair few movies and now some TV shows, and every single time, apart from on Government Cheese, I've been the only black producer on everything I've done. Not by choice, not by design. It's just the way it's tended to work out, because in our industry, when it comes to there being a level of confidence around something that's worth millions of dollars getting made, financiers tend to be prepared to put their confidence in a certain demographic of person over others. That's just the reality. And on Government Cheese, there were 7 of us, 7 black producers, which has never happened to me before. It was by design, because I really, really wanted that for the show. We all did. And the reason I bring it up is so often as a black creative, but especially as a black producer, when you're trying to make something that is specific pertaining to black people, but you know will be universal in scope, you find yourself constantly having to explain your existence, which is incredibly exhausting. And so you find yourself capitulating so many times. You find yourself going, okay, they gave on that, and that. They just don't understand that. We're gonna let it go. Now with this, Paul Hunter is just a creative being. You know, the guys at Macro, Charles King's studio over there, Amadou Sek, Jelani Johnson, Jamila Hunter, just incredible creatives as well. Zen and Clifton at Apple TV Plus, a great mind. And what happened is, because it was us and we were left alone, we were like, let's do that, and let's do that, and let's go over here, and let's go over there, you know. And what it led to was something that just feels untethered from the need to explain itself.
Yeah.
It is existence in its fullness, with all of its complexity. It's one of the few times, the last 2 TV shows I've done actually, and I feel very blessed to be able to say this, both with a show called Lawman Bass Reeves that I did, and then this, those are the first times where things that I've sort of really pushed up the hill to get made have had an appropriate budget in relation to the ambition.
Yeah.
And so when you have creative ambition and the resources to back that, it's extraordinary what that enables you to do. And it's why we love Wes Anderson's movies, because he has that every movie.
Right.
And so that's why it is as you describe. It's just us getting to have fun telling a story that is meaningful to us, knowing or really believing and hoping that a general audience will feel the same way.
Let's dissect one particular scene here that maybe deals with some of the things you're talking about here during the fight within the prison with all the water. Tell me, like, okay, was the water cold? Was it warm? Like, walk me through that day.
Ooh. You see, how I know that I love the thing I do generally, but the piece that I'm doing specifically, is when the things that I don't like are things I run towards. I live in California because I don't like the cold. I have an apoplectic phobia of snakes. And having seen Jaws as a kid, there's no body of water where I can't see my feet that you can't tell me it's shocking. And so every single one of those things I ended up doing in Government Cheese. It was freezing. There's this moment where I'm running towards the stairs and the water starts coming towards me.
I thought that was a stunt man. That was you.
Oh no, I told you I'm crazy for this. No, they filled, there was, and this is one of the first things we shot, and it was one of those rare cold and rainy days in LA, and they had a water tanker full of water. And what I didn't realize is each time that water comes rushing at you, the water at the top of the tank is warmer than the water towards the bottom. So by take 7, it is it is ice water coming at you. And so yes, it was freezing cold, but you know, you're also like the producer and the lead, so it's the moment where you go, yeah, come on, yeah, we're doing this. I did not like it at all. And then there is a scene later on. There's a lake called Lake Piru in California, and next to that lake are tall grasses, and we did a bunch of scenes there, and we had 3 snake wranglers there because everywhere you trod on long grass, there might have been a snake, and about 2 snakes a day they were pulling out of the grass. There was one time one of the cinematographers, camera operators, we were going for a take, and they said a roll sound, and she jumped, and she was like, a snake, 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 and literally they went in and pulled this gigantic snake out of the grass. I'm re-traumatizing myself. We should move on. But yes, it was very cool.
I love it. So you're no stranger to the 1960s. You worked on a lot of projects that have taken place in this time.
Yeah.
And so when you're going about the casting process here for the other roles, given that you are someone who signed on early, I assume you definitely have a say on this. Tell me a little bit about the other actors that you work opposite against alongside in this show.
Yeah, it's a great question because the 60s is quite specific.
Yeah.
And there are actors, as brilliant as they may be, play more contemporary for some reason. You know, tapes will come in and you'll just go, gosh, they're great, but I just don't buy them in that era for some reason. And it's almost a chemistry thing.
Yeah.
But then the actors we needed for, oh, hey Wilson, one of my favorite people in the world. So we knew that the actors that we needed in this had to hit a very specific tone. It couldn't be that they were funny in a on-the-nose way, that's sort of British kind of comedy, but they couldn't be great dramatic actors that didn't have a bit of a twinkle in their eye. And to me, you know, Simone Missick, it just is the perfect example of that. Phenomenal actress, looks like she completely belongs in that era. What she is able to do off the line is just like so with her eyes. It's just
The eye roll.
The eye roll, the you know, people talk about physical comedy, but just the way she walks away from me at the door when I arrive, you know, tells you so much about that marriage. And so I did a chemistry read with a few actresses, and it was just, you know, it was one of those moments where you go, this is why you do a chemistry read. It was just so clear why it needed to be Simone, and then with Jahi and Evan, who play our sons as well, just that tone. You know, there's something about the lanky Evan and the oddity of him. For some bizarre reason, you know, on the page he goes, there's gonna be this black kid who's trying to be a pole vaulter, and then Evan comes in and you go, yeah. So we're doing that. So yeah, it was a truly joyful process actually, because you know, reading these characters on the page and then literally having actors walk in where you just go, oh, okay, this is gonna be fun, was really great.
Have you ever had a moment in your life where you needed a bit magician?
Oh gosh, I am so bad at DIY. And I'm going to admit something now that please don't judge me for it. But one of the greatest things about making a bit of money as an actor is being able to employ people to come and do something, things as basic as hang a picture for me. Because I have many, if you go to my house, if you take pictures off the wall, the mess I have made with going at an angle with the drill, and then it's too big, and then I have to plug it, and then put a screw in it, and then that falls into the wall or I hit a stud. Thank you. Oh my gosh, who said that? Thank you. Oh hi, hello. You know, you hit the stud. So yeah, I am not that guy.
Fair enough. I mentioned earlier this is a show about reinvention.
Yeah.
Is there a time in your life where you found yourself at that crossroad of reinvention? That you were able then to like kind of relate and find an entry point into this character?
Yeah, after every single job I do, I feel the need to entertain reinvention. And even if it's not overt reinvention as in doing something I've never done before, it's I think your job as an actor, well, my definition of an actor might not be the same as everyone's. I think the actors that I admire the most are very preoccupied with showing as many facets of the human experience as possible as transmitted through their being. And so the actors I admire the most are actors like Daniel Day-Lewis or Christian Bale, or people who just are transformative in their performance, where they're constantly going, gosh, which way are they gonna go now? So, yeah, you know, the minute I do a play, I wanna do a film. The minute I do a film, I wanna do a TV show. The minute I play a historical character, I wanna play a contemporary character. To challenge myself, but to also hopefully keep the audience's interest, just from going, you know, which way is he gonna go next? Which absolutely was what Government Cheese presented, because you know, people probably know me more for my dramatic work, and what I really enjoyed about this was, as you mentioned, getting to be in an era that I've done a few films, but they've always been tied to civil rights or black struggle in some way. They've been films that talk about the challenges of being a black person in America, which are very important, absolutely necessitous. But this is not that, obviously, but sort of the struggles in it are incredibly relatable and identifiable to any and every human being walking the earth, in a sense. And so, in some ways, it might be one of the more radical things I've done, because of that relatability factor, combined with the fact that there's something about the setting of it that is reminding you of things that you've seen, but it goes at it in a completely different way.
Yeah. And so this show presents you with a lot of opportunities to be able to be creative and to show audiences a different side of yourself that they haven't seen before, like you said. I know we only saw one episode tonight, but believe me when I tell you, when you see more episodes, you'll know exactly what I'm referring to. Before we go here, is there anything that you want to tell the rest of the audience here when those episodes drop on April 16th, the 4, that will be on Apple TV Plus, one episode per week afterwards? What can they look forward to seeing over the next couple of weeks?
Well, one of the things I'm incredibly proud to be able to say about this show is I still can't think of a comp for it. I still can't think of anything that it is exactly like. And I think that's a great thing to be able to say about any creative endeavor. But, you know, I also just love how quirky the family are. And I love the fact that that is celebrated, not apologized for, not explained. You know, one of the challenging things about being a black storyteller is that we deal with, we're still living on a malnourished diet in relation to the audience seeing as many facets of us as possible. It's why it's very hard to have a film like Poor Things or Nomadland or you know, films that are white people doing white stuff. You know, and I don't say that to be controversial. I just say that as in, it's just normal. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Emma Stone is like a child trapped in a woman's body and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. Okay, yeah, I'll go on that journey. If we were to do that, you'd have to sort of hand out a booklet at the movie theater beforehand to kind of go, okay, so just everyone just be, it's okay, it's okay. And the way to get to the point where that isn't going to be the case is just a proliferation of stories that mean that a general audience consistently see themselves through the eyes of people of color to the point whereby you are just telling a human story. And thank you. So we're not there yet, but that's one of the things I'm proud of Government Cheese for is that you'll see over the course of the 10 episodes that, no booklets are being handed out. And it is as out there as we wanted to make it, but I'd like to think also as relatable as anything you may have seen that pertains to your family. And I really, really, really love the radical nature of that.
I think that's a perfect note to end on here. David, thank you so much for your time.